Hey guys, it's me, Holly Madison. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm continuing my reaction series to Girls Next Door. We are on season 4, episode 4. This is called Unveilings. This is where we see the results of Kendra's mom's plastic surgery and we do the Midsummer Night's Dream Party, which is an Arabian Nights theme. So if you'd hit the like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And let's get going with the episode. I don't remember much about this episode. I don't remember much happening. So it'll be interesting to see how we fill the time here. I think this is the second time they've showcased the Midsummer Night's Dream Party on this show. The first time was when we did the makeover on Bridget's sister Anastasia in season 1. So that gave us a lot to do in preparation for the Midsummer Night's Dream Party. But it'll be interesting to see what we're doing in this one because I don't remember. There's not much of the party itself that you can really show because they couldn't clear all the music that would have been playing in the background. So when they filmed us at the parties, it was mostly presented as B-roll. So the plot of those episodes would have to be built around like the preparation to the party or something like that. Okay, so the cold open is Bridget taking a trapeze class. She's doing flying trapeze. She was like doing that for fun. And I went with her to a lesson one time, and I remember I love the sensation of it, but what I don't love is how the trapeze itself rubs against your hands. Like I could feel calluses growing just the one time I did it, and I was like, I don't think this is for me. But Bridget really loves it, and she's taking Crystal Camden, Stacy, and Kendra with her. And I remember the scene was really funny because Stacy's legs would shake when she did it because she was so scared because of all the adrenaline. And she reminded me of the old Super Mario 2 game where if you pick Luigi and he would jump really long, and then his legs would do this funny like shaking thing. Plus she was wearing green, which reminds me of Luigi, so this is like her Luigi scene. The trapeze class was random because it was this big setup like in somebody's backyard in the valley. During season 4, I was really into my job at the studio, which was a full-time job, and so I wouldn't have been available to like do like a daytime fun thing like this, so that's why I'm not there. Bridget's talking like this is her first time doing this, so I think maybe this was just a fun thing she wanted to try for the show and then fell in love with it. Do people still do stuff like this on reality TV? Like, do people still make full cold opens on, we went and did this activity? Or is that like not enough plot these days? So Bridget takes to trapeze right away. She's like already, even though it's her first time doing it, like moving on to the next steps really quickly. And this is a really good example of how a lot of times during these different physical activities or sports, Bridget would be the best one at it. And they're showing that here, but they're kind of playing it off like Kendra's not as good because she's scared. But there were a lot of things that Bridget was like the best at, whether it was like surfing or like wakeboarding or things like that. But they would never really portray her like that because it didn't really fit those characters they had mapped out for us. Like Kendra was supposed to be the sporty one. Bridget was supposed to be the food one. I was supposed to be the stuck-up bitch, you know, and if it didn't work in those things, they just kind of like edged around it. Even though watching the footage, you can see. Some of you guys were saying that I do too many of these reaction videos, which I do because I enjoy doing them and they're the easiest, quickest thing for me to film because I just sit here, watch an episode and talk about it. Maybe dig out an Easter egg or two. But let me know in the comment section what other kind of videos you want to see because I almost feel like it has been so long since I've done like a vlog or anything. I've almost like forgot how and I ran out of ideas. So just let me know what kind of things you guys want to see in the comments. I do plan on showing you my archive. It's just organizing it is like the last thing on my priority list. I'm still working on that. So the first scene after the opening is I'm sitting in the dining room and I'm working on a Playmate pictorial. I have the computer in front of me and I have a layout. I'm gonna go back and try and see if I can tell whose layout it was. Oh, it was Lindsay Wagner's pictorial, which was not one I directed. That was the last one that Marilyn Grabowski did, but I was working on like the layout for it. And Hank, the house manager, walks up and Kendra's in the dining room as well. And he shows us some of the plans for the Midsummer Night's Dream Party. And we'd kind of been bugging have to change the theme of it for a while because it was always like kind of a Greek Roman theme for the longest time. And we were like, why don't we try something different? And I don't remember what the options were that we brought up, but somebody brought up like Arabian Nights. So that was the one he picked. So that's what we were switching over to. And I can tell it's right before a buffet because they already have the desserts spread out on the dessert table. Okay, I'm working on an Apple laptop and you can see it's just so thick and heavy. Like the laptops were big back then. And I'm telling Hank that whatever the setup for our area is like there has to be like a back to the chair, because Hef would always complain of back pain, because for the other midsummer's parties we would just sit on pillows and then he would want to go upstairs after like an hour. So we had spent like all day getting ready for this party for him to be like, okay, time to go upstairs. And we're like, what? And eventually they made like a little like on the floor seat for us. It was almost like a booth, but it was like on the floor. It wasn't high up and it had a back to it. But I told Hank, I'm like, I don't care what Hef says, like you have to do this. Because he was the type of guy that like likes things a certain way, but then he would forget about it and go back. Like he would forget what his problem was and then just go back automatically to what he was in the habit of doing and really insist on it. Like he'd be like, no, it has to be pillows. It has to be pillows on the ground. So I was telling Hank, no, you can't do that. Like it has to be something with a back. Otherwise he is miserable the whole time. Oh yeah, and I also suggest that there has to be kind of something built behind us, because for the smaller parties, our table would be up next to like the balustrade on the back patio of the house. So people couldn't really come up behind him. But at Midsummer's, it was just so out in the open and we were down on the ground. So people would be like coming up behind him, like giving him noogie, not really giving him a noogie, but basically like coming up and like assaulting him from like behind, and it was just too much. Getting accosted the whole time. We are all wearing Ed Hardy in this show. So the next scene is Bridget at her radio show, and she's interviewing Kendra and Kendra's mom. And this is when, oh, and Gizmo's there too. She's like in Kendra's mom's lap. And they're talking about how Kendra wants to try and find a date for her mom. I think that must be what the plot of this episode is. So this is the first time we're seeing Kendra's mom after she had surgery. And the interesting thing about plastic surgery that some people might not know is it's not always obvious after you've had it done, especially if somebody does a really careful job. Like I think she had her boobs done and obviously that was noticeable. But when you're getting work done on your face, like a lot of times the doctor will tell you, well, you won't see full results for like a year because your face is still swollen as it's healing over the course of like a year. So sometimes it's not that drastic of a change right away. Like I'm sure sometimes it can be, but a lot of times it's not. Like I had a nose job a long time ago, and when I look back on pictures in my scrapbooks, like say 3 or 4 years after I had my nose job, it's still a bigger nose than it is now. Like it took years for it to kind of settle where it is now. So I remember when Kendra's mom got out of her surgery, like she looked great, you know, just as she did before, but she didn't really look that different, I thought. But that's, you know, normal with surgery. Sometimes they take time to settle or whatever. But I remember Kevin, the producer, and Hef were both just going on and on about like how great she looked and how different she looked, and they can't believe it, which obviously somebody would say that to somebody's face because you're like, oh my God, you look amazing and everything. And she did. She looked amazing. Like this is not a commentary on like how she looked or not thinking she looked good. I'm just saying sometimes surgery isn't as impactful as you might imagine it would be right after you've had it done. But they would talk about that when she wasn't around too. Oh my God, I can't believe the change. Da, 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 da. And I remember, you know, Bridget and I would talk about it and be like, are we blind? Are we great? Like, do we not see it? It was just this kind of weird thing. It was, I don't know, it was weird. And of course they have Hef's friend Ray Anthony call in because he was this funny guy that they always kind of have this gag set up like she was hitting on Kendra's mom and Kendra didn't like it, which I don't know if that was really a thing. I think it was more like just funny, like everybody was playing along for the show. But did I tell you the funny story about how like years after Ray Anthony like accidentally went live on Facebook and he didn't know he was live, and it was funny, and he was live for a long time, and then a playmate from back in the day named Stephanie Heinrich like called him on his landline, and you could see he was still live on Facebook, and he had like this 70s swinger bedroom, which I love that for him. And he gets up from his desk and he still doesn't know he's live on Facebook, and he picks up the phone and he's like, what? Hi, Stephanie, what? Live? Oh, no, I don't care. More publicity for me. And I think he still didn't know like what Facebook Live was or that he was live. It was very cute. But he was like on there, like it was turned, his Facebook Live was like turned on for a long time before he knew. It was funny. And then my least favorite interview is back, where I'm wearing this bad sweater and don't have my hair done. And it shows Bridget and I going downtown to look for jewelry. We went down to the garment district and went to one of the jewelry stores because they always had a ton of stuff. And we had to go to Bohemian Crystal to get Swarovski crystals because we always had to put those all over everything. I'm wearing a tank top that says, "If you don't swing, don't ring." So I'm still on my Disney princess costume kick. And of course, the theme being Arabian Nights, I decided to be Jasmine. It's so funny because we're like downtown shopping in the garment district where you buy things and they come out in these black plastic bags. And it's just funny because I know I've told this story before, but like the executive producer, when we first started filming this show, envisioned us on Beverly Hills shopping sprees. And I'm like, no, we never had that kind of budget. This is what he got instead, us shopping at the garment district, buying $2 earrings. We're back at Trashy Lingerie, our go-to place for outfits, and Kendra is taking her mom shopping. Her brother is with them. And there's kind of a little back and forth over Patty wanting to be sexy and Kendra not wanting her to be. Oh, Patty still literally has bandages on her nose when they go to Trashy Lingerie. So this is very fresh. By the way, if you guys are interested in timeline at all or how shuffled this stuff gets out of order, the Midsummer Night's Dream Party was in early August. The episode before this was Alaska, and we went to Alaska in May of that year. But the first episode was 4th of July, and which is in between those two, but also Eddie coming home, I figured out, was in September of that year. So it was like the last thing we filmed because it was right around Bridget's birthday. Not the last thing we filmed for this season, but probably like the last thing we filmed like midway through. And that was bumped all the way up to the front. So it's just like nothing's really chronological, which is fine for the sake of storytelling and theme. But like if you're looking at this as like factual evidence of anything, you got to take into the account that it's not chronological. So the scene when Kendra and her mom are shopping, it's a good scene. It's very sitcom-y. They're very good at like working off of each other, like bouncing off that kind of like old school sitcom humor. Like Patty wants to be sexy and the daughter's protective and doesn't want her to be. And it reminds me how when Kendra was supposed to first do her spinoff, like the producer, one of his ideas before he knew she was with Hank was that he wanted her to be like single and like possibly like living with her mom, and it's them living together and like being single together. Just a random note. Because they do play off really well off of one another. I don't know how crazy things got down the road. Like I never watched any of her like spinoff or when they did like the celebrity family boot camp. I just saw like clips and it looked kind of tragic, but I didn't watch the whole thing, so maybe I don't know. So I don't know what it devolved into, but at this point they're like very good at like playing off each other. They asked me and my mom to do celebrity family boot camp, and I was like, are you on crack? And I was asked to do celebrity marriage boot camp too back in the day, and I'm like, are you also on crack? Maybe I'm just too much of an introvert. I feel like it would be so embarrassing. And then Kendra's like, when she walked out of the fitting room, I really got to see her boobs. Whoa. And they are really big. Like they did, I mean that in a complimentary way. Like they did a good job. Okay, so then it cuts to a scene of the backyard is set up for the Midsummer's party, and Hank, the house manager, takes Hef outside to approve it. And the first thing you see is like a mural of Hef, and it's like Arabian themed, and he's has girls around him. And it's the ugliest caricature of Hef I've ever seen, and I don't know why he approved it. It's bad. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Have you guys ever seen that movie Beowulf? I don't remember if the whole thing was animated or if it was partially animated, but there was a villain in it. I remember we got invited to a screening of it back in the day. We all went, and the villain in it, I swear they modeled his face after Hef so much. I wonder if I can find a picture of it to cut in here. But it made me uncomfortable being in the theater. I'm like, did they do that on purpose and then invite us? It was weird. You guys, I found a picture of Grendel from Beowulf, but I'm honestly scared to post it in this video because I think people are gonna see it and think I'm being mean and think I'm saying, oh, Hef looks like this, which isn't what I'm saying. It's just that the features of this Grendel character looked so much like his features. It's like if you took his features and then made like a gross character out of it. And it was so uncanny when I was watching the movie that I swear I'm like, I feel like somebody working on the movie like hates him and did this on purpose. And then we got invited to the screening, and I mean, clearly nobody else thought that. I don't think, like, nobody from our group said anything, and he wasn't like upset, like thinking that looked like him. But yeah, should I show it? Here it is. So we are back in Bridget's room getting ready for the Midsummer Night's Dream party. Laurent, the hairdresser, is there. And getting ready for the party was like this all-day thing, and we would always do it in Bridget's room because that made it fun. It was kind of like part of the fun of the whole thing, was just like hanging out, ordering snacks, getting ready together. So I didn't do a wig for Princess Jasmine because obviously Midsummer's isn't so much a costume party, so I more just kind of like designed the outfit after it. I didn't fully commit. But Kevin did draw a cute cartoon version of me as Jasmine. And I don't love my line. I have a lot in common with Jasmine. All I'm missing is her fabulous tan, because obviously if Jasmine were a real person, it wouldn't be a tan. But there you have it. There's a cute shot when they're showing the backyard of the mansion all set up for the party of like a carpet unrolling on the floor. I like it. And the funny thing was, I think when we were bugging Hef about changing up the theme a little bit, we kind of thought that, ooh, every year there will be a different twist on the Midsummer Night's Dream party. So every year we can kind of like tailor our costumes accordingly, and every year it'll be like new and fun. Oh no, it stopped at Arabian Nights. I don't think it ever changed after that. I mean, maybe like way down the line it did, like way after we left, but it stayed Arabian Nights for a while. And then they have a scene in the backyard of Hank and Brian Olea at the house, and they are just talking about Kendra's mom having plastic surgery, you know, hanging out, enjoying the decorations and stuff like that. And I wonder if this is an effort on behalf of the producers to like widen the world of Girls Next Door and add more characters, because it seems pretty deliberate. Like the guys are doing a great job in the scene, but you can tell they're really being told like what kinds of things to say, or this is what we want you to talk about. It's just a different choice, because I feel like ordinarily they would have had me and Bridget in Bridget's room talk about, oh, Kendra's mom is finally gonna like unveil her plastic surgery or something. And I wonder if they just didn't want us talking about Kendra's mom for some reason. Because I told a story before in the episode where she gets plastic surgery that I was like, oh, we should like take her to go get her makeup done, her hair done, kind of almost like the way everybody kind of helped out with Anastasia's makeover, and nobody was having none of it. Like they didn't want me or Bridget anywhere near Kendra's mom for some reason, and I don't know why that is. But maybe it was like, because Kendra's mom is like openly hostile toward me. Like I think I'm safe revealing that here. Like I always try to be nice when I'm talking about her on these, but she is. And maybe she like low-key hated us back then and just didn't want us anywhere near her. I don't know. I liked my Princess Jasmine outfit, but I remember feeling way too bloated for it. And I'm looking at the footage and kind of like agreeing with myself, not to be nitpicky, but I could have done better, I think. I know some people hate it when I comment on my appearance, but my whole point in doing YouTube videos is just to keep it real. So there you have it. So Kendra's mom is doing her makeup in room 5, and I always like to point out when rooms 4, 5, and 6 are on camera, because like for the first 3 seasons of the show, you never saw those rooms. So sometimes people would ask me what they looked like. And room 5 was the first room I lived in when I moved into the mansion. I stayed in room 3 with another girl for like a few days, and then moved almost immediately into room 5 and was there for a couple months before I moved into the master bedroom. But it's the smallest room in the house. It shares a bathroom with bedroom 4. So it was always kind of thought of as like the least desirable room. And later, like years later, when it went down from like 7 girlfriends to 3, I asked if I could use bedroom 5, just so I kind of like had my own space, because it was very, it was a lot sharing a room with Hef, not just because like being around him, but like you don't really have a lot of your own space. You don't have privacy because there's so many other people going through that room. especially when we lived with so many other women and we all hated each other. I didn't feel comfortable with that at all because all my personal items were in that room and everybody was going in and out of it. So I never felt okay. Like even if I was sick, like I wouldn't want to go and like recover in another room while everybody else is in the main bedroom where like my stuff is. And like, who knows if they're like going through my stuff, or I don't know. It was just kind of creepy. Like imagine living in a place where you have all your stuff in one place, all your personal items, and then you know that there's these people that hate you that are like going through there a couple times a week. You wouldn't feel very secure, I guess. Does that make sense? Oh my God, there's this scene where Kendra's getting her hair done and I'm asking her questions like, oh, how's your mom? What's she wearing? Are you excited to see her? Like she's like pissy and like, why? Which is like, that's a clue of like what I was dealing with most of the time. Like most people don't see that because she was always portrayed as like being really likable. And I'm not saying that's not a part of her personality or that's not how she was toward a lot of people, but that was rarely what I dealt with when the cameras were off. So this scene is like a rare moment when I'm like, see, that was how it was. This is crazy because they're doing this reveal with Kendra's mom coming downstairs. And it very much reminds me of the reveal they did with Anastasia coming downstairs for the Midsummer's party a few years earlier. But I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly, when Anastasia came downstairs, it was just like us and Bridget's mom. But we're waiting for Patty to come downstairs and the Great Hall is packed with people. I love seeing Mary and some of the older women's outfits for the party because they would always come through. Like they would have these like beautiful silk gowns and silk robes and like these long like 1920s dresses. Like they did it right. Wait, this girl comes up and hugs Kendra's mom and I can't figure out, I'm gonna need to rewind and see if I can figure out who it even is. She has blonde hair, but my first thought is it was Lindsay Lohan when Lindsay had bleach blonde hair, and it wasn't, but I'm gonna have to go back and see if I can tell who it was. I can't figure out who it is, sorry. Oh my God, I forgot that Kendra got her mom a male stripper. I completely forgot about that. He was like dressed as a construction worker because that's Patty's thing. So in one of my interviews, I'm wearing this shirt and I think it was like a Jimmy Buffett brand shirt and it said only girl in town. And I loved wearing that shirt because it was ironic. Excuse me, where's my family member makeover Midsummer Night's Dream episode? Just kidding. I don't think my family would have even done it. Oh, I say it in the interview. The theme I really wanted was Moulin Rouge. That would have been the theme. Oh my God, I love Moulin Rouge. That should have been the theme for Midsummer Night's Dream. And you know what? Now that I am saying that, the outfit I wore for the next Midsummer Night's Dream party, 2008, which would end up being my last Midsummer Night's Dream party, it was very Moulin Rouge. It was black and red. It was like a corset. Oh, that was the theme I wanted. I liked that episode so much better than I thought I would. I honestly, when I sat down to watch this, I thought, oh my God, this one's going to be boring. I don't even remember anything interesting from that episode. But I forgot how much of a parallel it was to the Anastasia makeover episode because it's one of the girls' family members getting a makeover and they have a reveal at the Midsummer Night's Dream party. So that was interesting and I liked that parallel. See, there's ways to redo things and have traditions within a show without overusing a trope because this show would overuse a lot of tropes. But this was nice. And my least favorite thing about the episode, I don't know if there's anything I really don't like other than if I'm being completely vain, like I could have done a few more sit-ups or something before putting on. Oh no, I don't like the comment about Jasmine's tan. I think that was a line that was fed to me, but I could have been more aware and not said that because it's a cartoon character I'm talking about, but still. Yeah, so that's my least favorite thing. I think my most favorite thing is I really love the footage from the party at the end because you can tell that we're genuinely having fun. Like I think for me, I've reached a level of confidence to where I could have a little bit of fun at these parties and it wasn't me going downstairs to a party and getting wasted and worried about backstabbers and things like that. So I like the footage of the party, but honestly, like not to be like a drama stir or whatever, but I like the scene where we're in the room and I'm very nicely asking Kendra questions about her mom and she's just being rude. Like I'm not saying I'm never a see you next Tuesday. I am sometimes and I own it. but everybody is. Like, everybody has their good and bad sides, but I felt like on this show, you know, we were only portrayed one-dimensionally. So like, I was always stuck up, and Bridget was always looking for food, and Kendra was always so happy and fun, and wouldn't everybody love to hang out with her? But like, in that scene, you just see like, that was how she acted toward me a lot of the time. So it was like, you know, we started out, all three of us living together, me and Bridget, just wanting nothing but to have a group of girls who got along because of what we had gone through before with the whole other group of girls. So we're just putting forward that energy, and apparently it wasn't landing with her because we would just get a lot of pushback a lot of times. So I feel like that was a very real life moment that I'm surprised they left in the show. And I think the only reason they did is they're kind of playing it off like, oh, well, she was really nervous about her mom's reveal. But really, like, that's how she was a lot of the time. And I don't know if she was aware she was coming off like that, but that's part of the reason there was a lot of tension. Like, it can't all be blamed on one person. So I always like it when like real life moments kind of slip in under the radar on the show. So that was my favorite and my not favorite stuff. So I will see you next time. The next episode is all about Mary O'Connor. So we'll see you then. Bye.